Hi, everyone. It might help if I put my microphone down so I'm not on mute. Apologize. Been running around like for me. Um, I'll probably mention this a little bit later once some people get in the live. But for me, wearing a headset, it doesn't even have to be a noise canceling headset. Just wearing a headset helps me focus, and sometimes I forget that I have to put the microphone down. um, so that, and I've been wearing it on the plane quite a bit. So the Wi-Fi at this hotel is kind of janky sometimes. So if I happen to disappear or something, yeah, sorry. Hopefully it won't be too bad. But I thought we could go over a few things that we went over this week for the news. I've got a couple of extra things to add to some of the stories that I reported. And I thought we would also go over a couple of parts of the Royal Report to see. Sorry, let me double check the name of that. It's a little late here. The Royal Society's Disability Technology Report. And so I do have that pulled up, and we'll share my screen with that as well. So I found some interesting things just going through there. So now let's go. Well, first, let's talk about um, the Ontario Kids with Disabilities using the brain-computer interface. And sorry, I'm crossing my arms. I'm a little chilly right now. It's evening now. It's 9 o'clock here in Frankfurt, Germany. Um, I'll give you a little bit before I get into this. I'll give you a little bit of an update from today. So I did some touristy stuff on the way to take care of some business today downtown. I went to a Jewish vegan deli, which was absolutely delicious. And then it was inside the Frankfurt Jewish Museum, which I visited. And let's just say it was really hard watching Otto Frank talk about publishing his daughter's books for the reasons that he did to thwart discrimination and things like that. And know what is going on in the United States right now. I actually started crying a little bit. Um, it's so fucking sad that our country has gone back to the 30s and 40s Germany. Well, yeah, 1930s Germany. Gotta love it. The reason he published his daughter's diary after she passed was to warn people, was so that people wouldn't repeat history. And here we are. It's really sad. um, I it was really hard walking through that part of the museum because and I wasn't I only read a few books that were assigned to me, so I never I was one of those people that paid attentions in the discussions in class and passed because they didn't provide audiobooks and things like that back when I was in school. And I covered my inattention enough. I was able to cope and cover and compensate enough that I made it through school. Um, but the discussions in class were very valid, and just talking about, you know, I think we read it at a time that we were the same. I was around the same age as Anne Frank, and it's just really sad. I'm going to go visit her house as well. Her first house here, I think it's the one where she like was a baby before they moved away. So I definitely want to go see that. And all I could do was, so they had videos of Otto Frank talking about these things, and it was just really hard. And all I could do was just say, I'm sorry. I tried to fight against this stuff. I tried to educate people about this stuff. Sorry, it's just really sad. It was a really tough day. It was really tough to go through there, and I know I'll probably feel the same way going through Anne Frank's house. but I've got to do it. I need to do it. It'll help me heal from the betrayal of especially white women in America. I just, the white women that wouldn't vote for women's safety. I, I will never understand you, and I'm very glad I will never understand you. That's all I can say. I don't want to think like you think. Anyway, after that, where I had to go do business was in this touristy area with all these old German buildings. It was really cool to see. I crossed a bridge. There was a walking bridge. I had a really good view of the city. Took lots of pictures today because there were very interesting things. But um, Anne and Otto Frank really stuck with me today, and that's just where I'm at right now. And that's probably because I'm tired, But I wonder if has Anne Frank's book been banned? Because I need to go look that up. I'm very curious if you guys know anything. I'll probably have to look that up tomorrow, though. I've been working on this since I got back. So, all right. Well, let's talk about some happier, more interesting news. So let's get back to the Ontario kids who are using the brain computer interface to interact with the world. I thought this was very interesting. In my master's program, one of my classes, a classmate and I actually we did our research and a presentation on brain computer interfaces. But this was about, oh, let's see, I graduated in 2020, so this is probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. And I don't remember when the research, because that obviously is a few years back when you're researching as well. So I didn't, in the pictures, I didn't see that there was any, but I know that one of the issues with the brain computer interface was needing like the goop on your head so that the connectors would actually, detect brain waves, like when you go get, is it an EEG? I've had a couple of those. I've had at least one of those done because uh, debilitating debilitating complicated menstrual migraine when I don't have my hormone supply. So I'm completely just done. But anyway, I remember getting all that goop in my hair and just thinking, oh my gosh, would somebody have to do this every day to control their environment using a computer interface? And it doesn't look like that the headset the little girl had on, it doesn't look like she had any of that stuff in her hair, which to me is a great advancement, and I need to do more research on the newer brain computer interfaces. I think that's very interesting. I also have a friend who he lost his arm or quite a bit of his arm in an accident. He wears a prosthetic now. He also damaged a couple. He has a couple of damaged fingers on his other hand as well, and so he's been looking for a brain computer interface for several years. So it's something that's always interested me. And if it interests you, let me know down in the comments if you're watching this on the replay or after we get finished. It would be very interesting, what are your interests in this? What do you think it's capable of? And yeah, it would be really great to see your thoughts on this. So please share it down in the comments after we get done. Next up, I wanted to kind of go over, I talked about the Royal Society report a little bit, but I did want to share my screen. I've gone through it, I took a little bit of time to go through some of the recommendations, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So let me share my screen. And there it is. Okay. So this is the Disability Technology report from the Royal Society, how data and digital assistive technologies can support independent, fulfilled lives. And down here's where the executive summary starts. And I've got my own little note here. This is not in the report, so this is my personal note. So my notes, what I wanted to talk about on this page were it says, they call it DIG AT for short on here, that it will not be a standalone solution for challenges, and in some cases, technology itself causes significant challenges for disabled people. However, if designed and deployed appropriately, these technologies can be transformative in helping disabled people live more independent, fulfilled lives. And so, in addition to exploring the landscape of DJT, the report focused on various challenges within the DJT's life cycle related to measurement, inclusive design, and sustainability. And so this made me think about the part that talked about that it won't be a standalone solution for the challenges, and in some cases it causes significant challenges for disabled people. There is a TikTok creator named Robin who's visiting the American Council for the Blind convention in Dallas right now, and she was talking, and I apologize, I can't find the video where she's saying the name of the assistive technology. So, Robin, if you're watching, please let me know down in the comments. Um, I'm not sure if it's like a wayfinding device or a cane device. I'm not sure, but she described it as pushing a Hoover vacuum cleaner, and I did catch her update video. But again, the Wi-Fi at this hotel is janky, and something like it everything loaded, and then I lost the rest of her video. So I got to hear the part where she was talking about her Amazon session and then the transportation session, and then it like kicked away, and I could not for the life of me find that video. So I'll have to go back and specifically go to find her page. I just did not have time to do it. I was working on that when I needed to go live here. Yeah, Robin, if you're watching, please let me know that about that. But yeah, she was talking about, maybe it's improved, but not every technology that sounds great is going to necessarily be easier to use or practical, especially without the input of people with disabilities that that product is targeting as a consumer base. So I thought that was pretty poignant. It kind of matched up with what was being said here. So I'm going to skip down. This is page 5 right here at the start of the executive summary. I'm going to skip down to the recommendations. Oh, excuse me. Well, let's take a look at recommendation 1 is national statistics bodies should shift towards collecting data on functional challenges and limitations across populations rather than solely focusing on disability identity. This approach would provide a more nuanced understanding of how people experience limitations and, oops, I lost my thing. Okay, sorry about that. Disability, let's see, how people experience limitations in their day-to-day lives, allowing for better informed policymaking. And then recommendation 2 is governments should consider smartphone as an assistive technology. So it's estimated that more than half the global population, 4.6 billion, have access to smartphones, with disabled people being significantly less likely to have access compared to non-disabled people. And so smartphones can enable new methods of independence. Uh, for many disabled people, their DJT is their smartphone, and major mobile operating system providers such as Google and Apple have made progress in making their devices more accessible. And 64% say that they need DJT to access critical services. Now, the reason I picked this recommendation out, is because I worked for the government of the state in the United States of Georgia, and there was a lot of reluctance to purchasing smartphones through vocational rehabilitation for the vocational rehabilitation clients, and I actually recommended 2 of them. I recommended 2 for 2 of my clients, and so you know there just has to be an agreement. I get that the state doesn't want to get tied to, or governments don't want to get tied to the um, the phone plans, but you can purchase an unlocked device for someone, and they can set up their own phone plan. Because I had clients that needed like GPS and wayfinding features. I had clients that needed certain apps to be able to access things, and a lot of times, a lot of my clients already had phones, so I would try to do my best to set their phone up with apps and features and show them accessibility features that maybe they weren't using, those kind of things. But there were a couple of clients where I was like, I can't just not recommend a smartphone. There was one gentleman who was actually traveling out of state to finish a doctorate, I think. He was in a PhD program, but his wife would drive him up. He didn't have a phone. His wife had a cell phone, but he didn't have a phone at all. So he would actually borrow a classmate's phone to call his wife. He was using, he really needed O&M, orientation and mobility training for the campus there, because he was really leaning on someone, and that may have been, he was not American, and I can't remember his exact background. That may have been more of a cultural thing, because I know in some cultures, you lean more on your community than more so than being independent. There's like there's a certain balance in different there's different balances in different cultures for how much you lean on others versus how independent you are. So that could have been part of it too. I didn't want to like push into that, but the fact that he was borrowing other people's phones to call his wife, I felt like I, that's just something he should be able to do as an independent adult, and then maybe he could start exploring more independence with wayfinding apps and GPS, things like that. So that's why this one really stuck. That's why the smartphone thing stuck out to me. And I also explained to another gentleman, Voc Rehab did not purchase the phone for him. I didn't recommend a phone. He had a phone. I explained to him, he was an older gentleman. He had used a laptop and a scanner and Kurzweil 3000. Sorry, 1000 is for blind low vision users. I've had low vision users use Kurzweil 3000 as well, but so Kurzweil 3000 to scan in stuff, and he was saying that his boss would allow him to take the paperwork home and scan it in and do all this. And I said, if your boss would allow you to use your cell phone, that is the computer and the scanner and the software all in one. You don't have to have that huge setup. And then I also showed him at the time, um, his phone. I don't know that Select to Speak was out just yet in Android devices, but there was a way to get it to read to you through Google Translate. So Google Translate would read it aloud. So I just had him translate from English to English, and you could read it out loud. So yeah, he wasn't asking for a whole lot. He had used some things in the past, but like like the like the laptop with Kurzweil and scanner. But this was way easier for him to use. He could actually in real time. So there was a cork board at work, or an announcements board at work, where he could just walk up and use. I think we got him KNFB Reader, the KNFB Reader app, to read the information on the board rather than having to take everything home. And so he got to do it in real time like any other employee. And I just really, really, stress, if you're thinking of doing that, definitely mention it to your employer, make sure it's okay. They may need to provide you a device or something like that. If your employer does provide you a device, I would just let your supervisor know and make sure everything's okay with that. But that should be fine if it's an employer provided device. The big thing with privacy and uh, propriety and all that stuff, you just want to make sure. I've dealt with employers for many years with that are very strict about getting information out. There's also employers that have HIPAA laws they have to follow and things like that. So you really have to think about, where the information is stored as well if you're going to be setting someone up with that kind of a setup. So I agree that a smartphone more governments should consider a smartphone as assistive technology, especially now with all of the built-in tools and I mean, there's so much more to them now than when I was working in vocational rehabilitation. And in a definitely in the nonprofit, um, it's just they're going to have to come up to they're going to have to move up to current times with that belief. I mean, I get it, but you can buy an unlocked phone for someone and they can get their own phone plan. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I heard is no subscriptions, no subscriptions. Well, everything is software as a service now. So they're going to have to figure all that out. So anyway, let's go to the next one. I've stopped my rant there. So recommendation 3 was that disabled people should be meaningfully involved in the design and development of new digital products and services from the outset. What more needs to be said? It should also apply for the entire life cycle of the project, from conception to design and deployment and to end of life, with altruism being a motivating factor for disabled people involving themselves in usability exercises. Meaningful involvement will also require developers providing feedback to participants on what will change, if anything, as a result of their contributions. So yeah, let them know what's actually changing. So when digital AT becomes obsolete due to products no longer being maintained by their providers or due to companies closing, the disruption in people's lives can be severe and immediate. Now, I remember two that have been discontinued. So when I think it was when all of the when quite a few of the vision companies merged together to become VFO and now Vispero, um, Magic the magic magnification software that used to be run by Freedom Scientific was discontinued, and I definitely heard that from some people in the blind low vision community. They were not happy about that. That was something they had used for many years. Um, but before that, I believe it was Prinky Romick bought the company that made Easy Keys, which is something that Stephen Hawking used. And I know the guy that developed the State of Tennessee websites used that. Um, it's switch access software for the computer as well as communication software. So it was really rough to watch that one go and try to find some substitutes for that. There's a part here that talks about, it may involve the consideration of, sorry, I don't even know what that word was. It's getting late and I've done a lot today, so my brain's probably going to throw out some wacky words. So just, bear with me here. So it may involve the consideration of releasing source code of the obsolete devices and software under an open source license, as well as patent pools and escrow provisions. So it may also require initiatives related to the repair of a device, particularly in the event that of product discontinuation. So it could require legislative action, e.g., strengthening right to repair laws and regulations. So this has to do, we've seen a lot of the right to repair laws when it comes to like iPhones and things like that, where people don't have access to get in and fix them themselves. And so, yeah, that may be one way to make sure that these things are still running properly. So it should be possible for disabled people to pursue careers in software and hardware design. And if achieved, it will help embed this lived-in experience of disability into the teams developing these products, which is 100%, obviously. That's very obvious. But this aspiration will require investment in skills and training for disabled people and potential employers, as well as investment in the development of accessible design software and hardware. So, yeah. Recommendation 4 is that governments, technology companies, and research funders should explore initiatives to promote low cost, interoperable, and sustainable digital assistive technologies. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling here, so hopefully I'm not bothering anyone's. I mean, I have vertigo when I have migraines, so I understand. Look away if you need to. Um, and then recommendation 5 is that service providers should consider the social impact of replacing analog services with digital alternatives. So, like it says in the first line here, for many people, analog services will always be the preferred options. So, I mean, really, and it also has to do with tech savviness, and comfortability with technology. So it's always something you need to consider. Governments should ensure disabled people in careers, sorry, should ensure disabled people and carers of all ages are equipped with the skills required to most effectively utilize the current and future digital AT. So, yeah, I mean, makes sense. And then after that's the introduction, but I just wanted to go through the recommendations. I thought those were very interesting. I mean, obviously, I mean, they say a lot of things that people in the disability community and in the assistive technology and accessibility communities have been saying for decades now. So, yeah, I just thought it was pretty interesting that somebody brought that out in a report. This report did focus a lot on UK people with disabilities, but I feel like the recommendations are universal, internationally universal. So, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. I'm glad they put that report out. A very interesting report. So if any of y'all want to really deep dive or something like that on live, we can do that. I should have more time to take a look to look into the report more, but I really liked the recommendations that they gave. Let's take a look. And this is why today was so hard. um, but let's take a look at the information that I found about the two people that were mentioned in the article that I talked about where ICE was under fire for abusing disabled migrants in detention. So we do have, so Alma Brown was the Filipino mother. Um, and let me share. I'm going to stop my other screen first. Hold on. Yeah, I'm still figuring this out. Share screen. Okay. And so Alma Bowen, there is a petition for her, and they're trying to get 200 signatures. I know y'all can help. I'm going to put let me get over here, and I'm going to grab the link and put that in the comments. Make sure I spelled her name right. Petition. All right, so there is the Justice for Alma Bowman petition, and I'm not sure why it doesn't come up as a link, unfortunately. I'm going to have to figure that out. I will do my best, but if you search Justice for Alma Bowen, it comes up. It is at actionnetwork.org/petitions/justice for Alma Bowman. So I've got it in the chat there. Hopefully you can copy and paste. I don't know why it's not showing up as a link. But here we have her petition, and it talks about her background and how she experienced medical negligence. Sorry, I'm just taking a look here. See, it's got her background. It says so. What they're asking for here is they're urging ICE, USCIS, and DHS to act on the following: expungement of ICE detention record to regain green card status, reparation for medical negligence sustained, because I think she did have some unwanted surgeries in that detention center, and that detention center is no longer open, probably for reasons. Um, investigation and prosecution of Dr. Amen, which probably is the doctor that did or authorized those surgeries. I need to do um, more research into that, but this is it. The information should be here on the petition. I just have not had a chance. I pulled these up right before we met live to make sure that we had something. So we have closed down ICE detention centers and stop repressive acts on migrants. So that's what they're asking for. It's a very simple petition sign up. It actually had Germany here for me when I first did it. So I'm going to be signing this petition after I sign off. I just wanted to show you what it looks like when you get to the page if you've not signed it. So I was afraid it might show that I had signed it or picked up my IP address or something, and I didn't want it to do that. I want to make sure that you know you're on the right page. So again, that is actionnetwork.org/slash petitions slash justice dash for dash Alma dash Bowman, and that's ALMABOWMAN. And we also have I also found a Fox News story from Atlanta. I'm sorry, let me stop screen here. And it's funny because I used to live there and I recognize all of these reporters. I know it's not fun. It's not funny for any other reason that than I know these reporters. I used to watch these reporters all the time when I lived there, and to me it's just it's nostalgic to get to see them again. But this is an interesting video that talks about Mr. Taylor that we talked about this week. Or Barber, sorry. Hold on, let me make sure I've got that right. Now I've got Rodney Taylor, but yeah, he was a barber. That's what's throwing me off. But yeah, so this is the video of about Rodney Taylor. Let's see how this is showing up. Is it showing up right? Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna hit. Let me make sure it's gonna allow sound. Okay, I'm not muting screen audio, so you should hear it. If you don't hear it, please let me know, and I will go back and see what I can do. Let me make. And I'm gonna go make sure. All right, we've got. All right, let's see where it went. And I'll move the closed captions once I hit play. But this is Fox Local, Fox 5 Atlanta, for educational purposes only, under YouTube and LinkedIn's fair use policy. So we're just gonna, it's 3 minutes. It describes who he is, what happened, and his Mr. Taylor's story. So.
Family members and advocates for a longtime resident in Metro Atlanta Barber today demanded his release from ICE detention.
46-year-old Rodney Taylor has lived in this country since his mother brought him here from Liberia at the age of 2. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us now with his story. Angelique.
Good evening to you both. Now, Rodney Turner's mother brought him here for medical treatment when he was just 2 years old. Now he is a double amputee and permanently disabled. The United States of America is the only place that can provide him the medical attention that he needs. Mildred Pierre believes if her fiancé Rodney.
So, yeah, I just want to mention his mother brought him over here when he was 2. He did not come over here on his own. So he has grown up in the United States like many of the DACA recipients did, whose parents brought them over when they were children. It was not his decision to come over here. It was his mother's decision to bring him over here. And what are you going to do when you grow up in the country all of your life and then that's what you know that is your country, and now they're locking you up because your mother brought you over when you were 2. Anyway, let's keep going.
Taylor is deported back to Liberia. He will die. The 46-year-old double amputee was born with club hands and feet and was brought to America by his mother for medical treatment. Rodney's disabled, permanently disabled, double amputee. He needs to come home. Mildred Pierre says she will never forget the day ICE agents swooped in front of her Loganville home with guns drawn and arrested her fiancé, Rodney Taylor, back in January.
And I just want to add that these communities in Atlanta were already terrorized by police for drug raids all the time. The black and brown communities, the non-white communities in Georgia are often targeted by raids of another kind. So this is just adding to the amount of raids happening in these communities. And they're not getting any rest. They're getting terrorized and tortured over and over and over again. And now it's for people that were brought over as children, not just not. I mean, it it really frustrates me. I mean, I lived in this community. I worked at the Capitol, and I worked with the disability community as well. So it's really heart wrenching to watch what's happening to both of these people because it's happening in Georgia. So, yeah.
15th of this year.
It was like a scene from a movie. There's a truck that blocks me from the back. Two cars come in the front. Guns drawn. Get out the car, get out the car. My kids in the back crying. We don't know what's going on.
Taylor is a father of 7 with his blended family, a successful barber in Gwinnett County, and has been living the American dream on a work permit. The problem seems to be a burglary arrest when he was 16. I talked to Taylor from his Stewart Detention Center cell Wednesday. He said since Georgia pardoned him for the burglary in 2010, he thought that was taken care of. His family says he has been suffering at Stewart for 160 days because his prosthetics were too small.
It's like skin rubbing on skin or skin rubbing on plastic is a constant rub. It's chafing, it's bruising every step.
Immigrants are welcome here. This is not what democracy looks like.
And so this is likely where they're talking about and almost unwanted unneeded surgeries. The prosthetic issue with Mr. Taylor. These are likely what are causing more disabilities that these people have to deal with, additional disabilities, additional medical conditions that these people have to deal with on top of the disabilities that they already had.
Today's protest rallied for his release. His attorney says all 3 of his residency requests have been denied, and his deportation hearing is next week.
Requests such as Rodney's go to Washington, D.C. to die. And as the judge said at his bond hearing, ICE gets to be the judge, jury, and executioner in this case. It is not fair. It is not just. It is not equitable. It is not legal.
And Taylor's family tells me he now has those new prosthetics, but they say there are other medical problems. We reached out to ICE. ICE says that Taylor's pardon was not a full pardon. Therefore, he does not qualify for residency.
And I don't believe that. I can't believe that when they're just kidnapping people for no reason off of the street. I can't believe anything ICE says. Sorry. I need to actually see the paperwork. I would need to actually see the paperwork. I'm not going to believe, I'm going to take everything ICE says with a grain of salt. Homeland terrorist brown shirts. Sorry, it just bothers me. Like, it really bothers me. Ugh, it's not cool. Ugh. And I'm so sorry to both their families. I'm sorry to all the other people's families that got kidnapped and are being held in horrible positions. I'm sorry to the people's families that the family members were shipped off to other detention centers in other countries, which El Salvador now says that the Americans are responsible for the prisoners that are in El Salvador. So, yeah. Anyway, we're not going to go too much more into that. I'm just going to get more angry and upset about it. And I'll just add, I deported myself. I'm sorry. I deported myself because I can't stay in a country with 1/3 of the people being toxic assholes, 1/3 of the people being oblivious or lazy, and only 1/3 of the people actually paying attention, because that's a dangerous place to be. When only 1 in 3 people actually have empathy and care for other people and are paying attention to what's going on. It's just not a safe place for me. And it's really not a safe place for those 2/3 of people to be around me and my mouth. Oh, because I am a bigot of bigots and I am a troll of trolls. So, for my mental health, I had to get out of there. Otherwise, they would drag me down to their level. So, anyway, let's move on. So, this week we also talked about noise reduction options. And I'm not just talking noise canceling, noise reduction. For me, in school, I always I focused better, especially in college. Especially once I got to college, I would go up to the silent floor and either rent a study room by myself, or I would sit there with headphones on in the regular computer lab area of the silent floor and just blast my music and just go, 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 type, 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 type. Um, so yeah, and back then I didn't know how to use Dragon as well and those kind of things, which have really been helpful. But yeah, so for me, even if I'm not listening to anything, even if it's not noise canceling headphones, just having for some reason, just even having the headphones on my ears with nothing on it gives me some form of extra focus, and I don't know how to explain that. And I think it's because I'm just so used to wearing headphones while I'm focusing. I don't necessarily need the music unless there's other background noise that's bothering me. So, but I want to know what y'all think. Do any of you use noise reduction options? Do any of you use any of the soundproofing or anything like that in your YouTube videos, your YouTube studios? How have you dressed it up? I really did like the idea of the aesthetically pleasing felt tiles, and I think it could also be you could use it to pin things on the wall, but I think it could also be a tactile kind of thing because if it were me, I'd be up there touching them. So I could definitely see this as a good thing in classrooms, and you might be able to make your own. Let's just say I don't think you have to pay exorbitant amounts for that. Yeah, sorry. Like I said, if I was doing this at 3 a.m., I'd be yawning through the whole damn thing. So I do appreciate y'all letting me come on a little earlier. If you haven't already and you've made it this far, this is obviously interesting to you. So please hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. I want to know, what do you use to reduce noise in your environment? Do you have auditory issues? Now I have attention issues that the auditory stuff can cause. Sound in the environment can cause issues. As I will not want to pay attention to what I'm doing because I'm listening to that. But I think I mentioned in this as well that I get debilitating, complicated. It's hard. It's just hard to say those two words together for me. Complicated menstrual migraine, which means that it's based on my estrogen levels. If I'm not taking estrogen at all, I'm in 24/7 migraine. And some of the people that worked with me at vocational rehabilitation really got to see what happens when they start messing with my estrogen intake. It was not pretty. I had to go on intermittent FMLA. I tried several different things. I tried low estrogen, no estrogen. I mean, it was the worst 9 months of my life till I got back on the estrogen, like full estrogen, and then I believe I started perimenopause, so then even that wasn't working. Got a hysterectomy, and now I take estrogen and a birth control pill to keep. I think I still have my ovaries, but I don't think they're working properly anymore. So we'll see what happens with the levels. Like if I start having, like right now, I've been like 23, 24 weeks without a migraine, and that's the first time I've had a streak that long ever. So I'm going to make sure and advocate for my medical needs with that. But anyway, sorry, tangent. Let's bring it back around. But because I get those, noise canceling is an important thing to me, because I'm like Captain Hook. I can't stand clocks. I cannot stand analog clock ticking. I can't stand when I have a migraine and the pain is there. And it also affects me neurologically as well. So it may affect my attention deficit greatly, I think, or a short-term memory or something for like a week or two afterwards, depending on how bad I let the migraine get. So I do have after effects. I've had eye focusing weirdness going on. So yeah, I get a lot of neurological issues with it as well, and that's probably the complex part. The complicated part is that I was getting attention. I get a tension headache on top of it. But yeah. Um, so for me, blocking out those sounds is very helpful, like the repetitive noises. Like for me, for certain things, I can like leave a TV on when I have a migraine and it's fine, just as long as it's not these repetitive sounds. And I will tell you that when I call myself Captain Hook because when I did have analog clocks in my house and I'd get a migraine, I'd go through and take the batteries out of all of them. So maybe it wasn't that Captain Hook was afraid of an alligator or hated clocks. Maybe he got migraines, you know? I may be a little too empathetic sometimes, but yeah. So I think that's interesting. What are the reasons you use noise reduction things? And do you use no, and, noise canceling headphones is more of an individual accommodation, but again, the the echo and noise reduction techniques for the walls and the ceiling baffles. I talked this week about an actual client who they changed the whole environment for her to improve her attention, and it actually caused another coworker who maybe didn't know about their hearing loss, or maybe didn't want to admit that they had hearing loss. It actually made them talk louder to try to talk over everything, including the white noise. And so we ended up going from like an excessive, like setting up the environment for her to having to go to an individual accommodation. But it worked well. I heard nothing from her after that. So no complaints. Yeah, it was a very heavy headset though, so I definitely like if you are recommending headsets to people, look at the weight of them, especially if they've mentioned, like she mentioned to me that she had had surgery on her neck, and I said, okay, so this weighs this much. Is your neck going to be able to handle that? Because you don't want to add, you don't want to add to an already a condition that's already there. You don't want to make another disability worse, those kind of things. So that's just something to think about if you're recommending headsets. And like I said in this week's news video when I was explaining this, that she had a work phone. She had like an office phone, and those are kind of special. So her headset even needed an additional like power bank kind of thing. It came with the headset, but it was a large headset, and it was one of the only ones I could get that had the noise canceling for the ears, or the, I guess, active noise canceling, ANC, or whatever I'm not sure what that is, but it also had a noise canceling um, microphone. Now mine has both, but it's been 10 years. So they finally come out, and but you also have to think about the fact that not everyone can afford good. I mean, there may be better ones out there now that I just don't know about, but not everybody has a couple $100 to spend on good noise canceling headphones. So if you have an environment, if you're an employer, if you're someone in an event space and you have an environment um, where you've got the public coming in, explore the acoustics. Think about the acoustics. Are there a lot of echoes where people need to be focusing and thinking about, like, is there a desk where they're going to need to talk to someone? Does everything echo out? People come in. If they're speaking loudly, does it echo? So yeah, so there's a lot to think about with that, but just try to enter that environment in and really pay attention to how loud does it get in here? Are there echoes? You know, and then explore your options. I mean, again, there may be ways to create your own felt wall panels. There are, and again, there are other options. We've seen them on YouTube, and there are ways to dress those up as well. And yeah, yeah. Let me know if you use any of these. I know I kind of am rambling on now just because it's late here. And I want to announce that next week I'm going to go live on TikTok because I seem to have more engagement over there. And so I will not be on YouTube. I may post the live from TikTok on YouTube later and LinkedIn later. But as of right now, I am not getting many views on like nobody comes to my live, and I may just be doing the wrong time, but I think if I go on TikTok, I'll actually have people to converse with. So, yeah, I think that'll be fun, and I'm going to give that a try next week. And as I'm getting more followers over there, so hopefully one day I will be able, I'll get enough followers that StreamYard will allow me to stream on everything at once. I guess we shall see. So y'all have a great rest of your week. I will let you know any more updates as they come in. And please sign Alma Bowman's petition. I did not find one for Mr. Taylor, unfortunately. If you find one, please post it in the comments. Please let us know because I want to be able to go sign that. But I'm going to be going to sign Alma Bowman's petition right after I sign off. Again, I just wanted you to see what it looked like when you opened up the page, and I figured if I signed it, it would not look the same. So there should at least be one more on there. Like there should be at least 124 signatures if you go to it after this video. So they're only trying to get 200. So please, please, please go check that out. And again, if you find one for Rodney Taylor, please share that with us. Let us know because I would love to sign that petition as well. Or if there's a phone number we can call. I guess Brian Kemp is still the governor of Georgia. I'm not sure what governor pardoned Mr. Taylor, though. So that would be, like I said, I've got to do a lot more research into both of these. I just I just reported on them yesterday, and I was trying to get through some of the let's see, oh, sorry. I was trying to get through the disability technology report, um, and unfortunately, I just kind of ran out of time today because I had to go take care of some business and do some touristy things out while I'm out here. But take it easy. I will see y'all next week for Tuesday 10 a.m. news, but I will be on TikTok at noon next week. So have a great weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye.